Okay, so we are continuing lesson 13 here. We need to figure out how to make summer yellow. So you'll find it comes with a lot of red, a good amount of green, and then you get rid of a lot of the blue. That'll make it nice and yellow. You get something around there, and it's pretty close. 255, 226, and 100. So that should be your summer yellow. All right, so you'll write that down here. 255, whatever the other number was. 226, 220, 255, 226, and 100. And the CSS code, well, we can worry about that later. All right, so we hit finish, and it moves us on to number 5. So notice spring and autumn colors. Whoops. Spring and autumn colors right there. So there's nothing down here that you need to match it to. What they want you to do is to find your own colors for each one. So I'm actually going to open up Google here and go look up spring colors. So this gives me an idea of some good spring colors, the brighter kind of pastel colors. So I can look at those and try to adjust my dial. So let's hit run and start adjusting some dials. We want it to be bright, so we know we're going to need kind of a little more of these. Let's do something like, I want to make it more of a pink. It's a little more red. There we go. So that's a great spring color right there. So I'm going to go to here, 241, 130, and 216. So I put 130 here and 216 here. And then for autumn colors, I'm just going to go ahead and Google that. Autumn colors. Yeah, so we got yellow. We see some reds, some darker colors, oranges. So like a darker orange might be a good color to use here. So I'm going to go with combining some red and green. Get rid of my blue. That gives me yellow. A little bit less green, and there we go. So 255, 125, and 0 is a nice kind of dark shade of orange. So you can use that for your autumn color and write that into the sheet down below here. Now for your CSS code, I'm going to go here for what you're going to write in here. When you're writing CSS, let's do doc type. Well, let's just pretend we're in a CSS document here. So pretending this is a CSS document, we might do like P, open bracket, color blue, right? This might be what our CSS code looks like. So instead of writing blue, what we have with this here is the ability to use RGB as our color selector instead, or not our selector, our value. So the value that goes in here for color, instead of blue, if I want this orange to show up on my web page, I'm going to put in RGB parentheses, and then just add the 3 values, 255, comma, 125, and 0. And this would turn all of my paragraphs, it would change their color to this color, which from here we can see is orange. So that's kind of the point of all that. So this right here, just this block of code is what I'm going to write here. in my CSS code section. Cool. So we're going to hit continue. Going to erase. Okay, so we're learning about classes now. Classes are super duper handy. We can use classes instead of having to write the same code over and over, or having to write the same bits of code to control different elements. We can write a class. So let's say, for example, let me show you a use case here. I want my paragraph to be RGB. I want my H1 to have that color. I want my H2 to have that color. I want my LI to have that color again. It gets kind of exhausting, and honestly, we don't really want to be repetitive in our code. So instead of doing all of this, we can write a class, which we use a dot for, and I could write dot orange. Do orange color, whatever you can name this whatever you want, but that would allow you to create this is the creation of a class as your selector, and then any time I give this class to an HTML element, it would turn it this color. So let's look at this here. So we see, look at the HTML code. Why is snowy the only winter word without the winter color? So we look under winter here and we see winter, Arctic, cozy, enchanted, snowy. Interestingly enough, snowy is not colored the way these are colored. So let's look at these in our inspector. So cozy are all H5, H5. Well, snowy is also an H5, but it doesn't have class equals winter. So if we take that code and put that in here, now snowy has that. Snowy is that color. And the reason why this works this way, if you look at your style sheet, the dot winter, what's up? It's the winter here. So this, which is kind of what I did with the orange thing here, right? You can name the class whatever you want. I could call this, blah, blah. But as long as I go to my HTML, if I typed in blah, blah, right, then it's going to add that, what I just said. Blah, blah should do. If I give the blah, blah class, it turns the text this color. It just so happens, though, for this, they programmed it to be the winter class, right? So we want all these to use the winter class in order to acquire that styling.